You're listening to Unshaken, the Hope Dealer podcast, where we rise, heal, and make no excuses. I'm your host, Jason Brooks. Let's turn trauma into truth and pain into power. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me for another episode of Unshaken, the Hope Dealer podcast. I am your host, Jason Brooks, and I welcome you. Today is Tuesday, and so excited for another episode. But went to the beach this weekend. I took my kids. Don't get that many opportunities lately, especially been so busy, but wanted to take my kids away, get away for a brief vacation, and had a wonderful time. But some things came up that really piqued my interest on what I wanted to really kind of talk about. I had a completely different topic in mind. I'm always talking about different topics or thinking about different things. But one thing really resonated with me, and that had to do with text I got, actually. And the text had to do with a recent episode, basically. And it was in regards to something that I had mentioned. And it was that it resonated with somebody, that it helped them, right? It helped them get through something that I said on an episode, which it really hit home for me because, number one, this is brand new for me, extremely new for me. And I'll be honest with you, I've had like my ups and downs with the whole podcasting thing. Before I ever even did the podcast, I used to talk myself into it and talk myself out of it and talk myself out of it more than I talked myself into it. Like, I used to always tell myself, nobody wants to hear your damn story, Jason. Nobody's going to listen to it. Nobody cares. A lot of that was just me internalizing. A lot of those are my issues. But so I didn't really know like if this was something that people wanted to hear or if there was just an audience for it. And even now that I've actually had the balls to actually do it, I still run into it, right? I still kind of face those fears of rejection. I think that's probably the course for everybody, no matter what you do, whether it's podcasting, new jobs, new careers, or whatever the case may be. But, with this being a new podcast, I still, I look at the stats, right? So the stats say, Jason, your podcast sucks. Nobody listens, right? So, my mindset says, you should just quit, bro. Just quit. Nobody wants to hear this. But I'm not a quitter, so I say to myself, no, you just got to keep on doing it. You got to keep on doing it. You got to keep on doing it. Eventually, and I don't do this for clout. I don't do this for any reason other than I'm hoping that somebody hears it at the right time, the right place in their life, that something really hits home, gravitates towards it, and maybe they're sitting in a car like I was when I hit my rock bottom, and they listen to a word that I say or a word that a guest says, and maybe it takes them from a place of dire need or hopelessness and gets them to a place of hope. So that's the purpose of this podcast for me. It's not trying to become a celebrity. I'm not going to become rich off it. I don't really care about that stuff. I just don't. But regardless, you still want to know that people listen. So, I still do question it sometimes. So when I did get the message that, hey, I listened to your episode and it really hit home for me, that hit home for me. It really brought a smile to my face. And that's the reason I do it. And on top of that, today I had an appointment with somebody, and she told me that not only does she listen to an episode, she subscribes, and that she's in several groups that throughout the state of North Carolina that she shared it with. That excites me, right? That invigorates me. It kind of just lights a fire that says, you know what, Jason, you are doing this for the right reason. People do want to listen. And it might not be thousands of downloads, might not be hundreds of downloads. It might not even be tens of downloads right now. But you just keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. And eventually it'll happen. So that's the point of this particular episode. It has to do with sharing your story. And that's what I wanted to talk about again with this episode is living your truth. No matter who you are, no matter where you're at in life, no matter what you've been through, there's something about your story, about your voyage, about your trip in life that somebody out there can resonate with. Don't be embarrassed of who you are. Don't be embarrassed of where you're at. Don't be embarrassed of where you've been, because I can guarantee you there is somebody right now that's absolutely struggling that can appreciate where you've come from, where you're at now, and what you can offer them, whether it's just a hand or a shirt off your back. You may not know now, you may not ever know how much somebody can appreciate the kind words, the gestures, the hope you can give them just in the voice. So I encourage you, I challenge you, get brave. Like, just get brave. Like, to me, it was very, very intimidating for me, to the point I just constantly talk myself out of it. To me, it was a great idea. I'm going to do a podcast, but I always talk myself out of it. It was always, I don't know how to do a podcast. I don't have anybody to help me. I don't know the equipment that I need. I can't afford this camera. The camera is $1,200. The microphones are $800. The lights are $600. I don't have a podcast studio. But the bottom line is, you just need an iPhone. I mean, you literally could do it all. You could pretty much do it all with an iPhone. So it's just basically just do it. People need help. People are struggling. And especially, we all know that I'm in recovery. I'm a recovering addict. And when we're coming into challenging times, and when I say challenging times, anytime that we're coming into a celebratory weekend like the 4th of July, where it's encouraged, whether it's on the radio, whether it's on social media, whether it's on TV, party, drink, drug. It's all over the place. It's all you hear about. It becomes a tough time. It becomes a tough time for people trying to stay sober, just people that are dealing with grief, people that are dealing with loneliness. You just don't know what people are dealing with. If you have a story, if you've been through things in life and you've come out the other side, open up, put it out there. I guarantee you there's somebody who wants to hear it. I say that because as I've shared my story more and more, I've had other people come to me that said, "Hey, Jason, I just wanted you to know my husband has been dealing with this for 10 years, and now he has a group that he's heading," or something very similar to that. Or, "Jason, you should start a Facebook group for recovery or for mental health." Or, "I know somebody that just started a group for Sober Curious." I just hear it constantly. Again, I mean, it's like the domino effect. You put good things out there, and you just see that trend just follow. So I don't care how bad your story is, and it's not bad, but it could be bad to you. There's certain things and certain parts of my story that at one time was very embarrassing to me. Now I don't give two shits. Like, I'll tell anybody like the absolute worst parts of my story, because I have no shame in it anymore, because I lived with shame my entire life. Not my entire life, but practically my entire life. Dealt with a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment. Once you learn to get rid of that, it becomes very healing, and it becomes a source, almost a source and sense of accomplishment that you were able to kick its ass and just like get it out of your way. Like, you've defeated it. Like, it has no control over you anymore. And then when you're able to own it, put it out there to the world and say, "You know what? Addiction had me by the balls, but it doesn't anymore. I own it. And yeah, you know what? I'll always be in recovery. I'll always be an addict, but I've got it under control. But you know what? I flipped the script. You know what addiction? I may be an addict, but now I'm putting it out to the world that I'm helping other addicts. And fuck you, addiction. I'm helping everybody out there that I can. And what you going to do now?" So that's just what you got to do. Take whatever you've been through in life, flip the script, and give it out to the world. Give it out to the world. Give your journey, give your trip, give your trials and your tribulation. That's your masterpiece. That is your present to the world. Put it out there. Again, you just don't know what you can offer the world, and you don't know who needs what and when. On top of that, when you talk about things and you put it out there, not only is it freeing, but it is very, very, very therapeutic. I've mentioned this before, but I go see a shaman, and she hates me. She hates using the word shaman. She is more so like a therapist, right? And what I love about her is when you go see a normal therapist, they're like, yeah, it's $200 per hour. I don't even know what the cost is, but it goes by the hour. What I love about her is the fact that it's a set charge, right? And the reason I love that is because when I have my appointments, like it's energy work with her, but the first part of our appointments, we talk, and boy, do we talk. I mean, we've had appointments that last 4 hours, and out of those 4 hours, we might talk for 3 hours and 20 minutes. And I always have to have energy work. Like I cannot ever leave an appointment without getting energy work. Cause number one, I feel incomplete, right? It's like walking in to get a massage, getting dressed or getting undressed, getting on the table and not getting a massage. So it's like that. Like you don't go to a shaman and not get energy work. So, but regardless, my point is the therapy part, the talking is, I couldn't do without it. Right. Like, and I feel so much better afterwards. As a matter of fact, I seen her today, and we were talking about talking. And what I was telling her was that over these last 3 to 4 years, how much I know that I've improved as a person, because growing up, whether you call it as growing up as half Japanese and, as an Asian, or growing up in a military house, or my dad was Southern Baptist. So all these put together, we just didn't talk. We just didn't talk. It never really talked at all about feelings, and we just didn't talk. So my relationships suffered my entire life due to that. And it's not because of my parents. I'm not going to put it off that way. It's just the way life was. It's just the way it was. And I'm definitely not the only one. Matter of fact, probably most people my age from the South are probably much the same. I'm definitely not unique. But over these last 3 to 4 years, the work that I put in, and I owe so much to Anastasia, I'm a completely different person because of my talking, because of the therapy that I put in. But we were talking about these appointments that we're focusing on now. We're focusing on shadow work, or cord cutting, or working on past traumas, whatever you want to call it. These are words that we use. And you'll learn about it as we go through more podcasts. It has so much to teach you. Yeah. So therapy and talking, what I was saying was, for these last 4 years, I've definitely become the best version of myself through talking. And eventually I'm going to get into a relationship, and I feel sorry for her because our relationship is going to be going into my therapy session. Like, hey, meet Anastasia because our relationship's going into the therapy session. But I think that'll be great, honestly. But I know I've gotten off topic, but the whole point of this is talking, right? You just never know. You never know what somebody needs to hear. But I never was a talker prior to that. But now, going through the therapy that I've gone through, I realize that people are hurting. People have experienced so much trauma. People want to be able to relate to somebody. And that's me. That's you. Because I can relate to so many people. You can relate to so many people. We can relate. I think I said this maybe like on the first episode, but there's a lot about me that is relatable, right? I'm not high and mighty. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm not an Ivy League graduate. I'm not a trust fund baby. I've earned everything that I have. I've lost everything that I have multiple times. Obviously, I'm an addict, 2-3 decades long addict. I could absolutely relate to everybody. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're yellow, orange, rich, poor, young, old, male, female, whatever. I don't care. I love everybody except Duke fans. No, I'm joking, Duke fans. You're okay. Go Heels. But regardless, I can relate to everybody. So you just don't know who out there needs to hear your voice, who out there needs to hear your story. Everybody out there needs to feel love. What really taught me this, and a lot of you already know this, but the crazy thing is, and I learned this the first time I went to rehab, but the second time that I went to rehab was when it really resonated with me. But I remember specifically when we did the first night that we went and did we circled up to talk outside. And this wasn't like organized or anything like that, but this was my first night there. Didn't know anybody and was no pressure. You didn't have to talk. They don't call on you. It's like talk at your own discretion. There's no pressure. If you want to talk, talk. If you don't want to talk, don't talk. But I felt super, super comfortable. And it was prior to that, I never felt comfortable. The way my life was, I always felt pressured to drink and social. Like I couldn't go to I work in mortgages and we would have like a lot of realtor events that we would sponsor. And when I say sponsor, it would always be like drinking events, right? Social events where it'd be we'd have things called like Wine Down Wednesday, or Wednesday nights we would just provide all the wine and all the food. So it was already drinks. Well, I would have to pre-game before the game. So I would have to literally go buy a bag of Coke before that and go drink me some shots before that just to feel like I could socialize. Well, it didn't even make any sense because I was so geeked up and so uncomfortable. It kind of defeated the purpose, but that's the way that I lived for so long. So fast forward to rehab, that first interaction, it blew my mind because as I was there, I just remember very distinctly, this was the first time that I could recall since I was probably in my lower 20s that I had ever felt that comfortable talking, hanging out, being myself, shooting the shit with complete strangers or anybody, not being under the influence. And I was happy. I was super fucking happy. And it just absolutely blew my mind. And it was like I entered the Matrix or something. It was was it the blue pill or the red pill? I don't know. All these fucking years that I had just been wasting, all these decades I had been wasting, putting chemicals in my fucking up my nose or whatever, all these drugs that drove me to the hospital or about put me 6 feet under or about made me take my life. All that time, I had been killing myself slowly, thinking that I couldn't be happy without blasting powder up my nose or thinking I had to do ecstasy or ketamine or whatever the case may be, the hundreds of drugs that I did. I just always thought I had to do something to be happy. But that moment, I realized I didn't. I didn't have to do those things to be happy. I could actually fucking be myself and actually like myself. How crazy is that? I couldn't believe it. But it was true. I could actually be happy fucking being myself. Isn't that crazy? I thought it was crazy. But anyways, that was something that I really took away from that. And that's one thing that I like to share with people now because there are so many people that are living that life that I lived for so long. But the good part is the reason I like to share that story is because 90% of addicts haven't been addicts for as long as I have been. So hopefully them talking to me gives them a little bit of hope to realize, you know what? I haven't been under that hook or under that spell for a 10th of the time or a 15th of the time or a 50th of the time that Jason has. So you know what? There's fucking hope for me. Matter of fact, there's a lot of hope for me. I can still turn my life around. And there's so many kids out there that are 19, 20, 23, 24, 25, 27, 31, 33 that are still so much younger than me that, they may have been throwing their life away or fucking their life up. So they think, but they still have so much more time ahead of them that they don't realize. So those are the people that I really hope I can resonate with, that hear my podcast, listen to me talk, and that I can make a difference for. I really, really hope that those are the people that listen to my podcast, see my socials, see my posts, because those are the ones I want to make a difference for. So the point of that is, do not ever think your story does not matter, because it absolutely can. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a recovering drug addict. It could be OCD. It could be, you could have mental health issues. It could be ADHD. I have other issues too. Trust me. I mean, I suffer from ADHD. I mean, so there's a lot of different things. I mean, mental health. I mean, I don't know of anybody that's an addict that doesn't deal with some type of mental health issues or past trauma. So you have a story. Everybody has a story. I mean, let's face it. But if you've dealt with adversity, if you've dealt with trauma and you've come out the other side, be a light. There's so much darkness in the world today. Be a light for those. Be a light. Be a lantern of hope. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Again, the purpose of this episode was just to recap is you just never know when somebody out there is desperately needing a voice, is desperately needing a ray of hope. Be that ray of hope. Be that light of love. Until next time, I love you all. Thanks for listening to Unshaken. Talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Unshaken, the Hope Dealer podcast, where we turn trauma into truth and pain into power. If you've enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe and keep showing up for your healing. Until next time, stay brave, stay bold, and stay unshaken.